Hello everybody, this is Graeme Anderson for Four Corners of the Board, and today I'm going to be looking at Machi Koro Legacy. Now when Machi Koro first came out, it was my son's favorite game. He was 8 at the time, and he took it to school and taught his friends how to play. We would often play this on the weekend with him, and he was very excited when the new expansions came out. Unfortunately, he did not like what the expansions did to the base game, and he soon cooled on the game, and I felt I had kind of played it out, so it kind of got put on the shelf and has not been touched in many years. Now, 7 years later, there's a legacy version of the game, and when I asked my son to join us for a game, his first response was the typical teenager, "Nah, it's okay." But when I said it was Machi Koro Legacy, he kind of perked up and said sure. Now the basics of the game have not changed. If you know how to play Machi Koro, then you know how to play the legacy version. And my walkthrough is going to be very brief and just show you the setup for the first game and give a brief overview of the game and point out some of the differences from the base Machi Koro. So, is the story and changes that come with the legacy version over the 10 games make this a must-play? Let's get it to the table, see how it's played, then we'll come back for my final thoughts on Machi Koro Legacy. And there will not be any spoilers during the walkthrough or the final conclusions for the game. Here's Machi Koro Legacy all set up. Now I'm only showing you one player board as the other player boards were used during playing, and I want to keep this walkthrough spoiler free. Now if you've already played Machi Koro, then the playing of the game is identical, but the setup is a little different. Instead of having 4 landmarks to build, each player has 3 personal landmarks, marked A, B, and C here. And then there is a public 4th landmark card placed on the table instead of in your tableau. There are also less cards in the market than the base game. The base game has 15 cards with 3 major establishments. The first game in Machi Koro Legacy does not have any major establishments and only has 8 cards you can buy. Each player has a player board, 2 town square cards, and starts with 3 coins. On a player's turn, they will roll the die or dice, activate the matching establishments in their tableau, then take 1 action. In the first rounds, until you have built the forge, you can only roll 1 die. If the die value matches any of your own establishments, you can activate them. When rolling a die, each player has the opportunity to activate their own establishments. A blue establishment will activate on anybody's turn. A green or purple will only activate on your turn, and a red will only activate on another player's turn. All establishments will have text describing what happens when they are activated. The activation always goes red, then blue and green cards, then purple. So all the red cards that can go off on a die roll go off first, then continue through the other colors. This will make a difference if you roll the dice and you have to both collect from a green and pay with the red. You pay what you can to the other players that have an activated red card before you collect from your green card. Once the establishments have been activated, you can do 1 action. You can either go to the market to purchase 1 new establishment, build a landmark, or contribute to the community. To buy an establishment, pay the cost in the lower left-hand corner and place the card in front of you. To build a personal landmark, pay the cost to build the landmark that is printed on your player board, then flip the card over. It is now activated. To contribute to the community, pay the cost shown on the public landmark and put your flag on it to show that you have done it and you cannot contribute again. The first player to build their personal 3 landmarks and contribute to the community is the winner. When the game is over, there will be some special steps you have to go through, including noting who won. And this is where the legacy deck comes in. You'll be removing some cards, gaining new cards, and having new cards in the market, but I don't want to say any more to avoid any spoilers. It is all laid out very nicely in the rulebook and the legacy deck. So with that, let's get back to the table to see what I thought about Machi Koro Legacy. So let's talk theme components. The theme of the game of building up your little village on the island of Machi Koro, it kind of works. You're building up establishments to complete against the other villages on the island. And as the story progresses and the mechanisms change, they kind of make sense in the theme and the story of the game. Now the components are almost all cards. They are of good quality, and I would say that they are identical to the original Machi Koro cards. The cards are easy to read and understand, and the coins are plastic, but I like that they are different sizes and colors. The dice of the game are standard quality, but I would say the boxes are a bit of a letdown. I'm not going to tell you what's inside them, but I definitely felt that they were overkill. Almost all of them could have just been the size of a playing card box. But all in all, components were serviceable and no major complaints. Now on to the gameplay, and I'm going to try and talk about the legacy aspect without spoiling any of it. The base game is Machi Koro, If you didn't like it when it was first published, this game isn't going to change your mind. The legacy aspect of the game takes 10 games for it to fully play out, and when you're done, you're going to have a unique version of the game based on the decisions you made during the game. Now, the uniqueness is not going to be huge. You're not going to be saying, oh, we never explored that direction. It's more like you're going to have slightly different cards in the market at the end of the game, but not all cards are going to be different, just some. Now, the first game or two is really quick. You roll the die, activate buildings, and you spend your coins. Very quick, bang, bang, bang. There's no red or purple cards. You're just always getting money. Very quick and simple, and a really great way to get back into Machi Koro, or even for new players who've never played it, as it's just quick and simple. And this is where some of my issues start. As the story goes on, and the story is very short and sweet and told through the beginning of each game by just reading a card, but there's no branches to the story. My story is going to be identical to the story that plays out in your game. But as the story progresses, you're going to be adding more components, more options to do on your turn, and more things that need to be done on your turn. The one aspect I did like is that each player's town can start to feel a little different depending on how the player sets it up, as there are options for each player to pick from. They're all the same options, but you only get to pick a few of them. So as the game progresses, there's going to be more differentiation on your basic towns. But all this leads to the turns getting longer and longer and more things to remember on your turn and on other players' turn. It went from having nice, simple, quick turns into turns where players have more options to do and more things they have to do, and it just slows the game right down. Now, this is both a good and bad thing. I like that there's more complexity to the game, but some of the things just felt like they were extra for being extra. When a rule is introduced, it may be fun for the first game, but after the third or fourth game with it, it became a little tiresome. You're saying, oh, don't forget you have to do this on your turn, and oh, don't forget you have to do this before you do that so you can do this. And for all the added complexity, it really didn't feel like it added any strategy. I really like getting the new cards to the Legacy deck and opening up the boxes, and there's 6 boxes in total. It's always fun. But what they added really didn't change the way I played. It seemed that some of the added cards and mechanisms were, I'm not going to say pointless, but really didn't play into a strong strategy. When it all comes down to it, the overarching strategy of the game is to get more coins. All the other things that you can do that maybe are thematic to the story never seem to be worth it if you wanted to win. For example, in the first game, there's a combo of the Furniture Factory and the Forest or Gold Mine cards. If you concentrate on just getting these cards and maybe a few other support cards early on, all you have to do is wait to roll an 8. You get 3 coins for each Forest and Gold Mine card you have. And each game I played, there was this type of combo, and maybe even 2 of these types of combos, where one establishment gave you coins based on the other establishments you already owned. And in all 10 games, that strategy won every single time. At one point, this game came down to who was going to roll that needed number first. People were getting 50, 70, or even 90 coins in one roll. I felt that you could safely ignore any of the story cards that came up, which offered a slightly different ways to play, but when you have to buy everything with coins, and there seemed to be one dominant way to get coins, there really didn't seem to be a good reason to buy the other cards. But I'm sure you're going to say, but the other people should have not allowed you to do this. And you're right. But usually there were maybe 2 types of these cards for different symbols. And those symbol cards were varied enough that it was hard to stop someone from getting a bunch of symbols and 1 or 2 of these establishments that gave you points or coins for those symbols. So I went into Machi Koro Legacy hoping to enjoy this. And while I can't say I disliked my plays of the game, I can say that by the 10th game, I was kind of glad it was over. Now, my main points against the game are that as the game goes on, the added complexity and choices that are given to the player on their turn slow the game rounds down too much for really how light this game is. The story is sparse, and I really felt it was just a vehicle to introduce mechanisms to the game that really didn't feel like they added much to the game. Yes, they give you more options, but the options never felt that interesting. I felt that the strategy I started with in Game 1 was this same strategy I was playing in Game 10. And that strategy, I won 7 out of 10 games. So, would I recommend this game? Well, this is a hard one. If you like Machi Koro or have never played Machi Koro, you know what? I think I would recommend it. It's light and easy game to play, and all the steps in the legacy aspect of the game are small. Nothing is overwhelming. You just finished a game, now the next game is going to be identical, except for this 1 new card or 1 new mechanism, and they're easy to grasp. If you don't like Machi Koro or have played it out like I had, I don't think I would recommend this one. Yes, the legacy aspect of the game is something I enjoy, but I felt it really didn't add much to the game. I almost wish there was a way that certain cards could be voted off by the players to break strategies that seem to win most of the games. But I'm not sure how balanced that would make the game. But I felt that the new cards were just not interesting or strong enough to break the old standbys. So all in all, I can say I felt a little let down by Machi Koro Legacy. But one upside of the game is that my son actually played all 10 games with us, with little or no pushback, even though he's now a teenager. And with that, that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.